Today we have a bunch of stories to bring to you. Look, we know about the Pokemon leaks. We talked about a lot of the big information from them yesterday. We have a smidge more news today, especially in regards to a Pokemon MMORPG. But again, I'm being very careful in how I cover these leaks. I don't want to go through every minute detail because some of this could really venture into spoiler territory. But with the Terra leak back on the cards, obviously every day that there's something very interesting that I think is worth talking about, we will bring it up. We'll timestamp all that down below. We also have the reviews in for Legends ZA, so we get to see how that's faring, especially compared to, like, I don't know, the games that came out the entire Switch generation. We have some news from Octopath Traveler 0 and just some other stuff in there, including a brand new AAA game releasing in December that isn't even announced yet. Oh, we have to talk about that because, yeah, that's coming. And seemingly a day after Metroid Prime 4. What is happening? Well, before we dive in, I want to remind you we have a couple of giveaways going on. One of them for 3 copies of Age of Imprisonment, and the other one for 5 copies of Kirby Air Riders. We have 2 separate giveaway links down in the pinned comment or the description. I wish you guys all luck, and let's get to the first story here. Deals with Octopath Traveler 0. With some details here and some new screenshots. So, Master of All, Partis III, Ruler of All, is the absolute monarch who rules the kingdom of Edoras with wealth, power, and fame, all at his command. His insatiable greed knows no bounds as he initiates an invasion to seize Ostera in its entirety. The embers of war scatter and spread across several nations, igniting countless tragedies. Can you, Ringbearer Chosen, shatter the tyrannical monarch's ambitions? The greed of the Master of All looms over the land. We have companions from your adventure. So you have Pius, which is, voice acted by Todd Habacorn. The job is a cleric, a bishop of the Order of the Sacred Flame, a distant relative of the protagonist's mother, who showed him great kindness when he was a child. He now hopes to return the favor. His ultimate technique is the Scales of Justice. Next up, we see Saorise. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. They're a dancer, a traveling dancer who has unique artistic taste. She possesses extraordinary vocal talent, seeks a partner who shares her sensibilities and can join her on stage. Ultimate technique is the Runios Ariogrants, which is an ally to ability to exploit weaknesses. Next up, we have Corinda, who's a merchant who grew up in a small village on the outskirts of the Riverlands. She warms her way into people's hearts with her warmth and friendliness and uses her great business sense to ensure she never misses an opportunity to make some leaves. And her ultimate technique is the Trick of the Trade, which raises your physical attack of all allies. Next up, you have Zerk. He is a scholar who researches soul stones and is regarded as an eccentric within academic circles. His talented assistant is attempting to gather funds so that he can study a gargantuan soulstone. His ultimate technique is Soulstone's mighty deals. Next up, we have a town building, the Monster Arena. The Monster Arena can be built by progressing through your adventure. Unlock the monster capture list and arena matches to face off against your captive monsters. Complete capture quests and win matches to earn various rewards. Then there's the museum, which is relish in the museum obtained from the music scores throughout your journey. Revisit those adventurous memories through journals and proudly display treasures of legend rumored to lie dormant in locations still undiscovered. Now, we have some screenshots I want to get to here as well because, of course, seeing the game is better than just talking about it. So we'll just kind of scroll through these over on Imager. King Paradis here saying, I thought you were smarter than this. We see obviously a fight going on right here. Scales of Justice being used. Pretty cool. We see Pius here saying, may the sacred flame guide this bishop true and see that he does not disgrace his station. You can see the Runius area effect in action there in a fight. We see Saorise here and saying you were the only one with a true song. Scroll down, we see Trick of the Trade being used. You can kind of see what's going on. The screenshots go along with the descriptions. Corinda says, sounds like we've got a deal. And you see her using Soulstone's might. Zerk, it says, and investing in the welfare of a scholar can be likened to investing in the future. And you see him down here going towards a Coliseum-like thing. You can see the Monster Arena. Oh, this is the Monster Arena is what he was going towards. With the Tyranno Drake. Gray Grotto from the depths. Its strength is 1, 2, 3, 6 out of 10. Woohoo! Scroll down there, see more screenshot. This is obviously for the museum, the outside of the museum, the inside of the museum here, where you can listen to music or leave. There might be various architecture you can look at in art pieces as well. We see some character up close stuff here. Kind of how this stuff works here. When you have character designs that are pixelated up close, obviously they're kind of blurry up close. That's the whole point. They're not supposed to be this close, but then you see some art here and some more art. Obviously, these are concept arts from the game. So Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool. I actually am really excited for Octopath Traveler 0, just like I am excited for the Misadventures of Elliot, or the Adventures of Elliot. I don't know why I keep saying Misadventures, but completely separate game. Speaking of a completely separate game, we need to talk about the Pokemon leaks again. And while we did a whole video dedicated yesterday, I went over like the whole lineup from now until the end of 2030, which is when Generation 11 is supposed to come out. One of the projects talked about yesterday, we didn't go into details on, and that is Project Seed. And we have some information from Necrofelipe here coming from the Terra Leak saying, folks, the Project Seed, which is an MMORPG where you can freely visit multiple regions, including Kanto, Johto, Sinnoh, Hoenn, and Kitakami, is still in progress, and there has been no cancellation. This is even the idea that the game would allow the Pokedex to be completed collaboratively. So it's like Game Freak had a Pokemon game project in which 4 regions would be interconnected. It turns out that this game's apparently still in active development, so this is not a canceled project at the moment. To me, that's pretty cool. It sounds extremely ambitious. It's hard to really know what's going to happen, of course. The Pokemon Company and ambition doesn't always go together. We have a little bit more from the Terra Leak as well, and I gotta say, it doesn't sound like everything's always been so peachy keen when it comes to making Pokemon games. Stealth over here says Game Freak dirty laundry from the Terra Leak. Junichi Masuda no longer directs the mainline games. Through Black and White, he had a concentration of power that led to personnel issues. That's interesting. Masuda got into an argument with Sugimori during the development of X and Y. As of 2024, Shigeru Omori is the former director of Division 2. In 2021, he was actually listed as the director of Gen 10, but that could have changed. And there's a little bit more here from Central Leaks. He was banned from directing Pokemon games, referred to as the era of Masuda's absolute dominance. Masuda alone handled development planning, personnel decisions, public relations, and game design. So he had absolute control over basically the entire Pokemon, video game franchise. Up through Black and White, it was an era where no one could oppose him. However, this led to a concentration of power, and the organization began to run out of control. In personnel matters, unnecessary people and favorites emerged. The game's content shifted from being focused on fun to being driven by PR. They could no longer do proper game design, and various problems arose during development of X and Y. Masuda got into an argument with Sugimori, resulted in a decision to no longer be allowed to direct from then on. So, very interesting having some of that internal laundry get aired. Look, this kind of drama could be commonplace in every single company, and we just don't hear about it. So I don't want to sit there and make the biggest of deals out of it, but it could give you context if you ever felt like a shift in the games going from Black and White to X and Y, or from X and Y to the next games after that. You can maybe explain some of that shift here by there just being a lot of internal shifting around as well. Obviously, we have no idea who's directing Generation 10 of Pokemon. Is it still the person from before, or were they removed from the project? I have no clue. I don't know if we'll ever know until we get to the credits of the game. Unfortunately, they're not very forthcoming with who makes the game until you get to the credits, but oh well. From past drama and future looking into like MMORPGs, how about we talk about today? Because this week, Pokemon Legends EA comes out, and today, review scores have dropped. Pokemon Legends EA is sitting at an 81, which is a generally favorable score. You can see some of the latest critic reviews, the 90 there, the 80, the 92. You see the 81 overall. I see 100 from the 6th Athens, 90 from Vooks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It goes on and on and on. We can kind of glance at some here. VGC actually gave it a perfect score. Nintendo Rose with a 95. Nintendo with a 90, Screen Rant with a 90, Shack News with a 90, Vooks with a 90. Lots of 9s, RPG site as well, some 8s, and obviously we saw some lower ones as well, down in the 70s, and I think one in the 60s. Yeah, Eurogamer in the 60s there. IGN, the reviews in progress at main IGN. So anyways, guys, so the reviews are pretty good. And just to give you guys context for this, I went back and looked at the review scores of every single mainline Pokemon game that's come out during the Nintendo Switch generation. And the highest rated one was actually Legends Arceus, the last Legends game, at an 83. The next highest was actually Sword and Shield at an 80, meaning that, Legends Arceus, or in this case, Legends ZA, is one of the higher rated Pokemon games in the mainline series on Nintendo Switch and obviously Switch 2. So it does show the Legends series does seem to still be a step above. Now, I did look into some of the reviews A lot of the things that people really liked about it dealt with the actual gameplay and even some of the storytelling. They felt like this is some of the best work Game Freak's ever done from a gameplay perspective, combat, story, etc. Other reviews knocked it for like the visuals and other stuff like that. As you can tell, it's basically great gameplay, but the game doesn't look very good. And then some people maybe weren't that into the gameplay changes. So then if you didn't like the way it looked and you didn't like the gameplay changes, well, then you probably gave it a bad review as well. So look, guys, obviously this is going to be up to the eye of the beholder, up to the gamer, up to the player. I got to go hands-on with Legends EA myself already at PAX West, so I was already convinced to give it a try at least. I really did enjoy Pokemon Legends Arceus. It is my favorite Pokemon game ever. So I have some hope here, but will my hope be matched with the actual gameplay and story? We'll see. But what I experienced firsthand at PAX West sold me on giving it a try. You know what you may or may not be sold on? Well, I know, you know what? You're sold on this already. You know Assassin's Creed Shadows is coming to Switch 2. We all know it. The box art has leaked. The PEGI rating has leaked. The only thing that hasn't leaked is just the game coming out. Well, it turns out it is coming out this year. Deal Labs has the scoop here. Assassin's Creed Shadows coming soon to Switch 2, and they have the release date. No surprise, everything leaks from Ubisoft. All right. Since the launch of the Switch 2, fans of Assassin's Creed franchise have been hoping for an adaptation of AC Shadows on the new hybrid console, already available since March of 2025 on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. Several clues suggest an imminent arrival on Switch 2. It all started in April when the official website of PEGI, the European video game classification body, quietly added Switch 2 mention to the Assassin's Creed Shadows listing. But the biggest leak came from French retailer Auchan, who accidentally made the game's product page visible on October 10th. Along with the cover image, it also features the mention of the game keycard. All right. To date, there have been no rumors or leaks mentioning the release date or price of the Switch 2 edition. Fortunately, we were able to get our hands on them, and we're taking the opportunity to reveal to them exclusively in the rest of the article. So a physical version is planned for December. Following our recent investigations, we are able to confirm the arrival of Assassin's Creed Shadows on Switch 2. In addition, we will also be entitled to a physical version of the game, although it's going to be a game keycard. According to our information, the physical version of Assassin's Creed Shadows on Switch 2 will be released in France on December 5th. 2025. A pre-order phase will also be planned beforehand. The exact launch date for pre-orders is still unknown, but should be announced by November 7th, according to the data we have collected. Finally, the game should be offered around €50, with promotional offers expected at certain retailers. Will not hesitate to come back and update the final price if we manage to obtain this information. So there you go. December 5th, and we should know pre-order information by November 7th. That means this thing should be getting announced anytime, like any day now between today and November 7th. We should have some sort of announcement for Assassin's Creed Shadows. I don't suspect it's going to be in some sort of third-party partner direct. Of course, it could happen. I kind of feel like they might just announce this one on their own on social media, maybe get a little press push by Nintendo, some trailers published on their YouTube channel, maybe Nintendo Today. So yeah, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Kind of interesting that this one's not getting a longer hype cycle for Switch 2. We just saw how well, something like Star Wars Outlaws was received from Ubisoft. So that gives you a little bit of hope anyways that Ubisoft is also doing a really good job porting Shadows, but maybe the Shadows port isn't that great, and maybe that's why they're kind of not saying much about it. I don't know. We can only speculate at this point, but December 5th is going to be an interesting one. Next up, we have a story from Nintendo. This one's just that they're opening a new store in Japan. So we'll just take a look here. So we got Nintendo Tokyo, the information page. We're down here. They have a new shop they're opening up in Shibuya Parko. It's a 5-minute walk from the Shibuya station. Again, it's just another store they're opening in Japan. We have 2 of them in the US. I think this is the 3rd store that will be open in Japan. Clearly, the Nintendo stores are quite popular. I wouldn't be surprised to see another store open in the US or a store open in Europe at some point. So yeah, I mean, look, the Nintendo stores have proven to be a hit. I don't know how many of them we're going to get. I don't suspect this is going to be a Walmart situation with hundreds of thousands of stores worldwide. But, could every country end up with a single store? Possibly. Could some of the bigger countries, like the United States, we already have 2. Could we get 3 or 4 of these stores? Sure. Would I be so shocked if a Nintendo store popped up in like Mall of America? No, I would not actually be surprised if Nintendo decided to do that. So it'd be a pretty major attraction. There's an Apple store there. There's a Microsoft store. There's a Lego place there. Nintendo works with Lego. Clearly, there's some opportunities here for Nintendo to expand, and they're taking advantage of that in Japan. And at least 2 places in the US. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I am Nathaniel Rebel from Nintendo Prime. Hope you enjoyed all these stories. If you like this stuff, go ahead and like the video, drop a comment down below, subscribe to the channel, and you know what? We'll catch you either in the next video or maybe on tonight's live stream. I don't know if there's going to be a second video today yet. We're a little early in the day. It is possible, but I will at least be live tonight. We have our podcast on Wednesday as well. I'll catch all of you guys then. Later.